Welcome back, everyone, to episode 3 of What's Your Story. I'm Leilani Langdon, your host, and this is a space where we get to go through the journey of the lives of our guests so that you can be inspired to know, own, and share your story. And so if this is your first time, come on in and say hi. Let me know that you're here. I am so excited to be with my What's Your Story community tonight. So if you are part of the community, drop your hellos. You know what to do. I know that it is Sunday night, which for a lot of people means Sunday night football. So if you are tuning in, listen, I appreciate you, okay? My team already played earlier, so I got my games in. I don't want to tell you who our team is because I feel like maybe some of you may be like, I don't know. But we are Dallas Cowboys fans, and they played the Panthers earlier. And listen, can I just tell you that was such a good game to watch? They did amazing. They blew out the Panthers. And so we just had a great time watching that game. So anyway, we're not going to talk about football because that's not what this platform is about. But I just wanted to rub that in. Hey, Ryan, good to see you. Go ahead. What's your story, community? Let me know you're here. I want to connect with you. So if you're part of the community, you know that this community is a space where we encourage, we uplift one another, and we celebrate. It is a judgment-free zone, and so come on in and do that. But hey, Pam, good to see you. So I just wanted to let you guys know that 2 weeks ago, I got to connect with one of our What's Your Story community members. My husband and I went to alumni weekend at Andrews, our alma mater. Hey, Evie, good to see you, Mama. And we ran into Derek Williams. I don't know if he's on or watching, but he usually is one of our faithful What's Your Story community members. And it was so good to see him in person. We got to connect, and I got to see his beautiful wife and his beautiful baby girl. He has 3 girls, and they're all absolutely gorgeous. So it was wonderful to see him. And then yesterday I got to connect with Ryan. Ryan came into town, and we ended up having lunch, and it was just such a great time to just get to connect with you guys. But again, just continue bringing in the comments saying, hey, I'm so excited for today to get to connect with Ilean, and we're going to bring her on in a little bit. But right before we do that, I just want to remind you, if you're watching, go ahead and share and let others in the community know to jump on, that it's time to connect here on What's Your Story. But earlier today, I shared a post that was really something I had been reflecting on. And it was the idea of affirming yourself, right? So we know the idea of affirmations and how, you want to affirm, right? You want to, affirmations are something that help increase your mood and can help shift your perspective and your mindset. But I thought to myself, so much of our self-talk is negative. Naturally, so much of our self-talk is negative. How much time do we actually invest into positive self-talk? How much time do we invest into thinking about what we love about ourselves, or what we appreciate about ourselves, what we did right versus what we did wrong? And so as you take that today and do whatever you want with it, I'm encouraging you to affirm yourself, to spend time thinking positively about yourself. But I just want to let you know that just like negative self-talk has a negative impact on your mind and on your body and on your spirit, and it can create a sense of anxiety and depression, positive self-talk has the ability to change the chemistry of your brain by increasing gratitude. And when you increase gratitude, naturally your body responds in the same manner. And so I want to encourage you today to remain positive, to lean in and love on yourself. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Ilean. I want to remind you that if you have questions as we're going through her story, hashtag questions in the comments, and we'll get to them at the end of her story. But I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. I want you to celebrate her and welcome her today as she shares her story. Ilean, how are you, Mama?
Hey, Lady Boss. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, I am so excited that you are here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Ilean. I am Cuban, live in Miami, Florida.
Hey, whoop,
Also went to Andrews.
whoop.
I am an online marketer, coach, a speaker, and I've got businesses online in both Spanish and English.
Yes.
And my favorite hobby is reading. I know it's not the most wild thing out there, but
No,
I love
listen,
it.
I love a good book, okay? Give me a fiction novel and I'm good, okay? I'm lost in the story. I'm crying. I'm like, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Here we have some welcomes coming in. So Eileen, go ahead and tell me, what's your story?
It's so interesting because if you would have asked me that 10 years ago, I would have like written out this perfect little resume of what was coming next. And then, life was like, you know, that's cute.
Right.
Let's actually see how you can handle this. And I thought I had this like simple story where I was the daughter of immigrants. I was the first one in my family in this country to go to college. And after college, I said, you know what? I'm going to do what you're supposed to do. You go get more school. And so I was working on my doctorate in
Yes.
psychology. I had this big
Wow,
dream
girl.
of being a neuropsychologist. And
Wow.
I had all these ideas and all this research I wanted to do. And then when it got to it, it was horrible. It was horrible. I hated it. It was the worst thing ever. I was coming home every day crying. It turns out you are in a situation where this is their real life. This isn't a case study in a book. These are real people that have been through it. This isn't a soundbite in the news. This is a deep dive into some heavy things. And I could not disconnect. I was so sad. And if they would feel something, I swear I was feeling it double, triple. It was debilitating. And everyone told me in my family, work hard. That's what hard work looks like.
Wow.
Push through. It'll be fine. You'll get used to it. I didn't have the privilege you have of wanting to look for what you like to do.
Goodness. Right.
And that is why until I was halfway through a doctoral program, I said, there's no more to give. I have no more. I couldn't recognize myself anymore. I wasn't myself anymore. I wasn't thinking clearly. I was no longer excited about anything. And I thought, if I'm feeling this way, whoever's coming in seeking mental health support deserves someone that's in a better place to support them. And I did the scariest thing ever because I'm a big old goody two shoes. Okay, I'm not that rebel. I have no rebellious stories. I have mistakes, yes, but not that I was sincerely like, oh, I'm gonna show. Nope, that's not me. I'm a rule following nerd. And in that moment, I said enough. And I didn't even recognize myself. And I just said, this is it. And I took a leave of absence from school and I didn't go back. And so at the time, it just so happens America wasn't getting it together and there was a little recession going on. Worst time ever to change careers. I'm a hot mess. America's a hot mess.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have connections. I don't have some trust fund. I didn't have anything to fall back on. So suddenly I find myself living in a different city because I was living there for school, for my graduate school. I don't have friends and family nearby. I was working at the school. So when I say bye, that also took away my work.
Your job.
And then America didn't have it together. So I couldn't cash in all my other degrees at the bank. I couldn't, get a job. And let me tell you how diligently I was looking for a job. I was even applying for housekeeping at hotels. I wasn't being fancy pants. I wasn't looking for, something awe-inspiring. I was just looking for anything that was legal and safe and available.
Right.
So that I could just
make money,
pay things,
the bills, right?
Well, I figured life out, and I had to go to Panera Bread for internet. I was trading all those fancy textbooks on Amazon.com for store credit, and that is how
you can do that. Hold on.
Yes. You live and learn, girl. If you get to
Good
rough
to
places, you learn
know.
some things.
Oh my
And I even got
gosh.
groceries on Amazon with my books,
Look
and
at
at least I
that.
could eat my books, in that way. And,
Literally, literally.
mhm. And so at the
Wow.
time, my husband is my boyfriend, and he thinks, I got you. Don't worry about it. Let's get married. So he proposes, and
Yay.
yeah, and suddenly the company he's working for goes out of business.
No.
He's in a
Oh
situation.
my
I'm
gosh.
in a situation. America's been in a situation.
Lord have
And
mercy.
I think in like 48 hours, like remember, I had applied to at least 300 jobs. We're talking
Oh my
non-stop,
gosh.
diligent. I was not being picky. I was trying anything. And so I said, okay, what worst case scenario has happened? So when those moments happen, you become a little open-minded.
Right. You have no
And
choice. You
yes,
have no choice.
and you also come into a situation where, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And at the time,
Mm.
my husband was my boyfriend and he proposes to me. Now we're engaged. So I took my last little bit of money. That's Bentley behind me.
Hey, Bentley. Oh, he's so cute.
I took my last little bit of money and I ordered wedding invitations.
Oh
And
my
there's no
goodness.
Wi-Fi, there's no internet, like food is like a whole situation.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
looking for jobs. I sold, what I could and what I knew how to. And I said, this is going to be fine. This is
Yeah.
going to be fine. And I didn't know I was that strong until that moment. I was still sad. I was still stressed, but somehow still
Mm.
looking forward. So I ordered these wedding invitations and I had no money, so there was no venue booked for the wedding, but the invitation had a date, a time, and a location. And to me, that was accountability. I was
Wait.
like, you know, I'm not that bougie. If something goes down,
Oh
I
my.
will put a piece of paper and say the wedding's been moved to McDonald's and we will
Oh
all
my.
live. Like, I had that as a plan.
Oh my gosh.
So
Oh.
Matthew, my husband now, he went with it. God bless him. And I got to work. He got to work. And there's something so powerful when you make yourself available for good things too. It is so easy to sit
Mm.
in a funk. I had every good reason to hide
Absolutely.
under the covers,
Yes.
to cry day and night, to obsess over myself and my situation, and
Mm.
choose to participate 110% with the country's current recession.
Mm.
Because it sometimes when things happen, we can choose to do our best to
Absolutely.
get out of it, or we can say, this is it, I'm committing, we're only participating.
Yes.
And I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but I will do my part.
Yeah.
And so I sent out these wedding invitations. So his family's in South Africa. They're buying plane tickets and clothes. My bridesmaids all bought their dresses, and I didn't have a wedding dress. The people,
Stop. Oh
yes,
my gosh, Ilean.
yes, it was, in hindsight, that was a horrible idea, but I don't recommend it, guys. I don't recommend it, but it felt so right. It felt like this was going to be
Mm.
solved. It did not feel like a gamble. It felt
Mm.
like the next best move. And I can only compare it to baking. And in baking, it looks absolutely disgusting. It is not appetizing. You've got raw eggs, you've got sugar, you've got flour, cement
Yes.
mix situation, but you still get the
Yes.
cupcake liners out and you still preheat the oven and like you still go through all these motions because you
You
know,
believe. Yeah.
yes, what's going to happen.
Right.
And at the time, working from home was not fabulous. It was not hashtag blessed. It was not goals.
It's true.
It
It's true.
was, oh, you're kind of lame, or you didn't make it in that degree,
Mm.
or you couldn't find anything better,
Mercy. Yeah,
or
yeah,
you're
yeah.
hustling people, or oh, you're salesy or you're pushy. So I didn't have social support. I certainly didn't have resources, but I had a goal and I had a deadline. I had no time
Mm.
to waste. And then I had a decision to make. I could either call everybody and tell them my wedding was coming up, that they should support this business, or I could just go for it. And so I said to
Mm.
myself, you know, I don't like buying things just to buy them. How can I solve problems? And so I took my dining
Mm.
room set and my living room set, which, guys, at this point, if I look back, Thank God it's out of my life. It actually wasn't that nice, but at the time I had bought it. It was my independent woman furniture.
That's what you had, girl. Yes.
I had furnished it myself. I had arranged for delivery. Like those were all big deals when you're a woman
Yes.
living by yourself.
Absolutely.
And I said, my dreams are bigger than what I have achieved right now. You have to be willing to let go of good to have space for great. And
That's good, okay?
and you know what? It was so amazing because sometimes when we go to another level, it's a double blessing because there was a recently single mom in the church and she got brand new furniture, super gently used.
Wow.
For
Yeah.
a very affordable rate. And she had to come for a potluck at my house because that's me. If you sit on the floor, if I have furniture or not, you're always welcome.
Right.
And she said, and she loved it, and she kept commenting on it. It's like, well, if you want to buy it, it's yours. And it just stayed with her. And who knew that a few weeks later it was for sale?
So she got to benefit. Yes.
And sometimes I think it's so tempting to want to keep up with the Joneses when you're in a tough position.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to let go of good for great. And so furniture sold. Books have been gone. I've been shopping on Amazon with my store credit. Dining room set is gone. I'm sitting on the floor doing everything I can, take that money, cover expenses, and start our own business.
Wow.
It was health and wellness products. And 90 days later, we were already making a monthly income. So yearly, we were now at a 6-figure income. The wedding was paid for.
Wow.
We had qualified, for bonuses. We earned free trips. We had helped other people make an income. We were forced to work a certain way. It forced me to learn how to work online, which then created a niche because everyone was like, how'd you do it? At that point, Facebook was
look at that.
And so had I not been in that situation, why would I have done it that way? If I had gas or other things for my car, I would have been put in a situation to work on social media. And so what we thought was one business opened the doors to teaching others how to do the same thing.
Wow.
So it kept growing. Next thing I know, I've got clients and students and speaking engagements in over 20 countries, making sales in my sleep. Furniture has been more than replaced. Living around the world. I'm not worried about car gas anymore. I'm on planes now, like major graduation. Somehow had the energy to go back to school, got my MBA.
Girl.
I felt like that was better.
The better direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I don't even think my website says I have an MBA because it really is for you. It really isn't like what helps you necessarily with branding. And so that whole time, I forgot to tell anybody what happened. Like it didn't come up. There was no time. Like the wedding was coming up. Invitations were sent out. People were hopping on planes. Like, guys, I flipped through a wedding magazine. I said, that dress. I found where they sold it. I tried it on and I ordered it. I only tried on one wedding dress. So if you talk about putting
what?
Blinders. Yep, that was it. And I was done. My wedding, I planned it so fast. I was like, those flowers look good. That flavor cake works. It was so fast because I didn't have the luxury to complain. I didn't have the luxury to vent to family. I don't believe in venting if you can't be part of the solution. And
that's good. Okay. Yeah.
All of that. And let me tell you, it's easy now to go and look on my Instagram and say, oh, those are cute red bottoms. But before I had red bottoms, life gave me a red bottom. And I had to push through. And I don't know why, I was never in the position where I was like, God, where are you? Or why is this happening to me? I felt more like my faith was being tested rather than me testing God. I was being tested on, do I really believe? Or is this just a weekly appointment I have in church? Am I going through random text? Am I worried about red marks from a teacher on my paper? Or am I worried about red letters in the Bible? Like it was a pivotal point where I even surprised myself. And so we're super shocked. this is all working. Oh my gosh, you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. Has that ever
Right.
happened to you? We're like,
Yes.
I
Like
got lucky.
things are too good. Like at some point,
Yes,
and isn't that so bad how we self sabotage ourselves in that way,
yes.
right? Mentally, like something bad has to happen if something good is taking place.
Yes, and it was stressful to think about, no, I can't go through this again, or my gosh, what's really going to happen?
Mm.
And that's when I realized people had been wrong. People had just been wrong. Good, well-intentioned people that wanted to do right by me were just wrong. And had this not happened to me, and let me say better, had this not happened for me, I would not have been able to show them that someone just like them, that had even more setbacks than they did in life, accomplished it. I wouldn't have been able to show my dad, who always told me. I remember we were boating once, and I said, Bobby, how do we get to live there? There's an island in Miami. It's called Fisher Island. He's like,
Yeah.
you can't live there because you have to either been
Wow.
born into money, marry into money, win the lottery, win a lawsuit.
Wow.
And so people like us don't live like that. And so I wasn't
Wow.
right on that island, but I was living on the water. And he came over one day and he stood on the balcony and he looked at me and he just said, you did it. And I knew what he was talking about. I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I raised this lid for my family. I always thought my job was to make money and to just financially take care of everyone. But
Yes.
I was so shocked that my example somehow lifted a cloud that I had no idea was there and allowed people to dream, to set goals, to invest in themselves, to read books, to not just walk around like these predetermined drones, to live a small life. They started dreaming big.
Yes.
And so there we are at this wedding, right? So Matthew's family, they don't speak Spanish. My family doesn't speak English. So each side thought the other side had paid for it. So, and we let it go. It's just like, I literally ate at my wedding. I always see brides like, I was like, this is the most expensive meal I've ever had. And
I sold furniture to pay for this meal. So I'm about to eat all of this food.
Not the price of the chicken I was referring to. I had paid another price. And I was gonna sit in that dress and I was gonna eat my meal. And so
go ahead, girl. Yes.
And I said, nope, I'm not getting up. I am finishing this meal.
I love it.
It was forevermore the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I've had numerous challenges come about since, but I was forevermore free. When the challenge came, I was challenged but not crippled. I was paying attention. I was present and maybe very concerned, but never riddled with fears. I was curious, but never thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the only way things can happen. And suddenly that title didn't matter anymore. I thought the only way I could make my family happy was to be Dr. Ilean. The only way
so true. Yeah.
I could bring honor to them was to do things a certain way. And I'm so glad that I just said to myself, enough of being depressed, enough of thinking small, enough of being a prisoner to random strangers' expectations of me.
Talk about it.
Like, I don't even know these people. I wouldn't even know if they're upset or if they're happy, you know. Enough of listening to people who aren't paying my bills. And I'm not talking about with money. I'm talking about with my dignity, my sanity, my emotions, my self-respect, my purpose. When people say, oh, you don't pay my bills. When someone truly says that to you, they're not talking about the cash money.
Right.
They're talking about what was here. And so
mercy.
Next thing I know, I'm coaching single moms and I'm coaching widows, and I've coached people with autoimmune disorders who could not have a job. They weren't like, oh, it's beneath me, I don't want a boss. It wasn't that. It was people that I would have never been able to serve had I been absolutely miserable in another role. And then we saw, hey, nobody's doing this in Spanish. And so then we started this business in Spanish, and everyone told me, Hispanics don't have money, they don't pay, they don't do this. And I was like, have you ever watched a novela? Like, that's glam. That's not Kardashian glam. Like, glam.
And that was glam before glam was a thing, okay?
Yes. Like, that was like the person who's portraying a maid in the novela, soap opera, if you haven't seen one in Spanish, is in full glam, you know?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I was like, nah, that of course this community's hungry for it. And there have been so many people that have been helped because I was humble enough to share my struggle bus story. Because as
Yes.
much as I can say, hey guys, this is possible for you too, don't buy into the hype that it's not for you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
also say, and this is where I paid my dues, and that is why I teach you, so that you don't have to learn the hard way, so that you don't have to go through all these situations. And I think that I thought this is going to be so great, financial freedom. I'm going to, be location independent, work from wherever, but that really hasn't even been it. What has been so special is when my little sister graduated from high school, and it was on a Tuesday, and that place was not as packed as it could have been if people would have been able to get out of work to go support their loved ones that were graduating in high school. So to be able to show up for that, I said that was so worth it.
Means the world.
Yes, to see my husband every day was so worth it. 2019, when my dad was diagnosed with lung cancer, I took care of him. He didn't have to go to a facility.
Wow.
That's what I did with that freedom. And he told me every day, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. While he'd nap, I'd be on my laptop. And those types of things, I tell people, dig your well before you're thirsty. And I'm not talking about quit your job and start a business, but I'm saying, do you need to strengthen your faith? Is that a well you need to dig? Do you need to connect more with people? Do you need to ask for help? Do you need to read more books? Do you have more resources? Do you need to volunteer more? What do you need to do now? It's because the day you plant the seed is not the day you reap the harvest.
Girl.
A lot of us are like, oh my God, I fasted for 10 minutes. Where are all the blessings? And look, I'm not here, like I'm not here to limit your miracles. When you pray, when you believe, you can bend time and space.
Yes.
I am not at all telling you how it exactly goes, but I'm here to tell you, before a pandemic, I listened and I pivoted and I did things that then put me in a position to work from home before it was cool to work from home.
Before the majority of people were now having to adjust to a new reality and figuring out how to do it and what it looked like. Yeah.
And it was scary and it was new, but when you're uncomfortable, if you're willing to be uncomfortable, you can finally be more comfortable than you've ever been, because you can be in flow. It's not even a success thing, because you're happy, because you're inspired, because you're tapping into it. Like, for instance, I could hear J-Lo's story all day long. I will never be a singer. Your ears are guaranteed to bleed if I sing. Like, cause and effect, it will happen. But I know the power of, going for what you want, going for what's exciting. And to be in a situation where I didn't go the way I wanted, I had to literally pave the way. It was so incredibly humbling. And so now I know that a few things, the more you learn, the more you earn, right? And you can earn friends. You can earn,
that's a good word,
a number of things, right? And more importantly, that you can have it all. I didn't know that you could actually dream big. I think my only regret is not thinking bigger sooner. I was only trying to get a wedding and to keep the lights on. That's what I was trying to do. But I think if I would have started sooner, saying, wow, look at the effort I put into a doctoral program. What would happen if I built my own syllabus? And I said, this is what I'm going to accomplish. Like, I think we have up to 90 days left now till the end of the year. The story I just told you was in a span of 90 days. So maybe you don't have a wedding coming up, but what can you do now? And your life would be radically different between now and 2022. What if your goals suddenly became your to-do list? How would you act? How would you be? What if your biggest dreams became your lifestyle? Who would you be? And I knew that who I had to be was generous, was humble, was coachable. And I'm here to tell you, don't wait till you're fearless. I did everything I told you to do, sweating, with my knees shaking, with my hands trembling, with my voice cracking, with my eyes watery. And I think that's okay, right? A little fear is healthy.
Yes,
Fear keeps
absolutely.
us with seatbelts on, keeps our hands off the
Yes.
stove, and
Yes.
do it with a little fear. That's okay. Your dreams can be bigger than your fear, you know? And I remember
I
this
love
one
that.
time where I think I told you this, Leilani, where I almost got my aunt sent to prison. And
No, you did not tell me that, so you're gonna have to tell it today.
I was a little girl, and my dad did car, he did car interior. So he did car upholstery.
Mm-hmm.
And this was before fraud was the thing. And one of his clients gave me a whole box of checks that he didn't need anymore. And so my dad's working on the cars for his used car dealership. So they would buy the cars at the auction. My dad would help fix up the interior, and I
Mm-hmm.
guess someone else would fix the exterior, and then
Right.
they would be sellable. So I sat there, and I guess I had lady boss vibes because I knew how to write a check. I was like super little. So I was writing checks to everybody, and my dad came and I wrote him
You
a
get a
big
check.
check.
You get a check. You get.
I was Oprah for a whole day. And
Oh
my
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 gosh.
signature was Huicho Dominguez, because at the time there was a soap opera about this guy who won the lottery. So I wasn't pranking anyone. I was just handing out checks. And my uncle came in. I was like, you need to knew this. And I said, but my aunt had just gotten to Miami from Cuba. And I don't know why. I don't know why I changed the story. I was like, Tia, you won the lottery. But I opened the mail and I threw away the envelope. And this check came for you. And I'm little and my hair's curly and
Oh
probably
my
froey or in
gosh. This
pigtails.
is the
Like,
best.
I thought there was enough evidence to know, just kidding was implied. And
Right.
everyone literally had a check around me. People were literally fanning themselves with these checks. And there was a huge box of checks next to me. So this wasn't even mischievous. It was just me and my imagination.
Right.
And so I gave her a big old check with Lord knows how many zeros. And my aunt said, thank you. Like, put it away. So,
Safest place.
yes. So then she was given money by my dad and my uncles for her and her husband to start their life in the United States. They had just
Sure.
gone to Miami from Cuba. And that night they gambled it all away because they had just won the lottery. So they gambled away all their money. Okay. No money now. And then the next day, I was like, they didn't even ask for a ride. They figured out the bus system, brand new in this country, because someone would have told them in the family, no, you don't need to go to the bank for that. That was
Right.
a joke, or she was playing. So they went to the bank all by themselves and they went to cash this thing. But
No.
before they went to cash it, my aunt had chosen where she wanted to live. She decided what car she was going to
Ilean.
drive. She said, this is how I'm going to dress. This is a neighborhood I
Oh
want to
my.
be in. She was set. So she gets to the bank and she's like, I won the lottery. And she slides it underneath that little
No.
window. And the lady looks at it. I mean, imagine, it says Barbara Motors. That was the name of the car dealership. Huicho Dominguez signed it. Little kid handwriting. And she looks at it and she's like, congratulations. And suddenly, like, they asked her to please sit down. Someone's coming to help you. And she said she heard like helicopters, SWAT
Oh
teams
my
shows up.
gosh.
She's like, "Ay, Dios mío, am I safe in America?" And I just like, these were the times where caller ID was a big deal, right? So thank God my dad had caller ID, and I
Oh
just
my
happened to
god.
call him that day when I was out with my mom, and I suddenly get this call back, and I was at my mom's job, and it's a police officer. No, I was like an FBI person, I think, and I was like, this is it. I'm going to prison for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh, Ilean.
I said, this is the end of the road for me, right? Like, forget it. I'm going to juvie. I don't know. And the guy gets on the phone and I'm so apologetic and I tell him what happened. He's laughing so hard he can barely talk to me. My mom is laughing so hard she can barely talk to me. My aunt's yelling all the things she's gonna do to me the next time she sees me.
Oh my goodness.
finally, thankfully, the police said, "Oh, okay, we believe her. We believe this was a really, really bad situation."
Just
I'm happy
innocent.
for my aunt. This was pre-social media. This would have my family
Oh,
posted this.
gone viral easily.
Yes. So I'm so glad for her. And yeah, I didn't go to my dad's house for months because I was like, she's going to kill me.
Oh
I would
my
make him come
goodness.
see me. But, that moment changed her life forever because that check was so real to her. For the first
Wow.
time in her life, she allowed herself to dream. He said, this is
Mm.
certain. There was no debate. There was no, it was irrelevant anymore. Chancleta. It was irrelevant now, right? Where she came from, what
Yes.
languages she spoke, what her parents did, who they were, what her husband did for a living. It
Mm.
suddenly was absolutely irrelevant because she decided
Mercy.
something different for herself.
Yes.
And despite her being one of the last to come to the United States, she was one of the first to buy a home. She was one of the first to have a
Wow.
successful business. She was one of the
Wow.
first to truly pave the way for so many people. And that was because that was the one gift, that one misunderstanding, we'll call it that little
Little.
misunderstanding gave her. And it was like, well, what if you had a blank
Wow.
check? What if there was
Wow.
no, I don't have time, I'm too old, I'm too young, I don't do this, I live here, I live
Mercy.
there, I have this many followers. What if we stripped everything away and somebody just came over and signed over a check to you? What would you do? Who would you be?
Yes.
What would you want? And you're going to be tempted to look at your past experiences. That's in the past. If you're still thinking all that day long, you're actually hallucinating. I don't know if you knew this. It's not happening anymore. If you're living in that moment, you're actually
Yes.
hallucinating. It
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
hallucination. If you're looking at your bank account, that only reflects the past. Why would they send us a statement of what's coming in the future, right? You have got to
Mm.
let go of whatever you have used to
Yes.
justify, to not think big, to not work smart, to not open your mouth,
Yes.
to not ask for help, to not go all in, wake up early, stay up late, do what you got to do. Because
Wow.
as much as, yes, the news has been insane and even toxic, and especially 2020 was really
Yes.
awful, all those things are real.
Yes.
Amazing miracles and
Still.
blessings and abundance are also real. In
Still
fact, they're even
happen.
more real. And it's when
Yes.
people are not acting in that reality of what's possible that they think they have to steal to get what they need, that they think they have to,
Mm.
do wrong things to get what they need. And so
Yes.
if you're willing and available to say, you know what, I deserve it too, I too can have it all,
Yes.
and I am here in a position where I can help other people, imagine how your life can completely change.
Change.
Instead of having New Year's resolutions that you might quit next March, you can literally start working on everything now. So you
Right
either
now, yeah.
achieve it by January or you're well ahead of the game. Because
I love that.
if someone like me has done even this, what could you do knowing it's possible?
Yeah.
When I started my business, there was no Instagram, there was no live streaming.
Girl. Girl.
My smartphone was a dumb phone. It wasn't even like to this level yet. you know, there was no ease. There were no podcasts that I could plug into. It was very much the good old boys club. Who knew who? And we
Wow.
still did it. We still came out on the other side, and there's still so much more growth left to happen. And I tell people,
Yes.
all I want to show you as an example, this is not a ceiling. You can have it
I
all. You
love
can
that. I
go
love
for it
that.
all. And if you can dream it and you're willing to build it, whatever it is, whether it's fitness, spiritual, career,
Yes.
community,
Yes.
then absolutely open your eyes to it and it will come your way.
Oh my goodness. That is so inspiring. I'm so inspired. I'm like, I need to dream bigger. What am I not thinking
We're going to
of?
be up all night.
Hey, listen, absolutely. Ilean, thank you so much. I mean, I loved so much of what you said. And so I just wanted to ask you, I have several questions for you, but I wanted to kind of know, what have you been inspired? You were inspired by that moment to really move and dream in ways that you hadn't dreamed before, but what are you guys doing now? What has it inspired to you? What has it inspired you to do now? Right. What dreams did you dream after that when you knew it was possible? And you're like, now we can do this. We can build this.
Oh my gosh, there've been so many things that, to be honest, to be really transparent, they weren't even dreams. They felt like fantasies. Like, you know, you have dreams and you kind of think
Yes.
best case scenario to happen,
Yes.
but then there's fantasies where you're just like, you know, a girl can dream, wishful
Right.
thinking, you know, when, you
Yes.
know, one day maybe in heaven type thing.
Yeah.
And we've done so many things, whether it's my husband getting to go back to South Africa, and we've done business in South Africa, and we've, you know,
Mm.
done so many things and shown the world that when you give back, not everybody wants a handout, they want a hand up. And
That's good.
putting
That's
people in
good.
a position to win, like that was so powerful and so moving. Or, you know, having a business in Spanish, that was epic, because literally no one was like, go for it. Literally everyone's
Right.
like, you're nuts.
Right. Why are you
And
doing that?
yeah, to now fast forward, and we got nonprofit status for the Ilean and Matthew
Yay.
Harris Foundation. Yeah, and
That's
we're super
amazing.
excited. And we help, and we look to keep partnering with people to help minorities and underprivileged communities gain
Mm.
access to information, because I find that we have so much information nowadays that it's information overload.
It
You don't know
is.
who's credible, you don't know what's
Yes.
right, you don't know
That's
what
true.
order to do things. And so we hope to provide well-deserving people who are excited to learn information that can help them get an awesome transformation,
I love that.
regardless of whether, you know, they're in business with us or not. And so
Yes.
we're really excited about that foundation. And just always prospering where we're planted. You never know where you're going to
I
live or
love
what you're
that.
going to do or where you're going to be, but I'd say
That's a word.
that's always the goal. You know, if right now I got a
Yes.
job, I wouldn't say, oh no, this isn't it. Like, I ended up there for a reason,
Yes.
and that is where you have to fully show up 100%.
Wow. Prosper where you're planted. Girl, listen, I have all these like little post-its of your sayings. I'm like, dream bigger. My dreams are bigger than what girl, than what I have. I where would you say that you got this positive perspective, right? I mean, I loved what you said earlier. I don't complain if I can't find a solution, right? I think that's how you said it. Where does that come from, right? Is that something you worked for, or is it kind of innate in you already?
Ooh, that's such a good question. And I'll tell you this, when you grow up to divorced immigrant parents, and
Mm.
I myself didn't learn English until I went to school. So I was like in ESOL classes, and I think the next year I was in advanced classes. It was like, what happened? You know, I was born in this country, but in Miami, it's a
You
situation,
don't
you
need
know?
you don't
And
need to speak English, right?
I
Yeah,
had to
yeah,
learn it in school
yeah. That's so
with
funny.
everyone else that wasn't born here. And it was actually quite normal for me to see struggle. And I see a lot of people
Mm.
that get knocked off. Oh, you got criticized. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And people are like, oh my God,
Mm.
I ran out of money. And I'm like, okay, is there another way? People were like, no, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you know, and the things that would trip other people were the things that motivated me, right? So, like, it's either
Mm.
gonna derail you or it's gonna inspire you. And then I got
Yes.
to a point where that no longer served me,
Huh.
because
Interesting.
I was so used to expect the struggle, hard work, everything's difficult. And
Wow.
you can't use that to scale a business or to grow a ministry or to do anything,
Yeah, yeah,
because you
yeah, yeah,
expect
yeah.
it to be all you. So if you're expecting struggle, why would you hire someone to bring ease? Why would you ever do
Mm.
self-care? Because you're supposed to struggle. You're supposed to be hashtag team no
Girl.
sleep. And so it served me, because I
Yes.
was not a diva. I was not a princess. You can't
Wow.
be a queen and a princess. You got to decide, you know, like, which one are you?
Right. I
Okay.
love that.
And I just didn't know that things
Mm.
could be so great. I didn't know. In fact, when
Mm.
I'd see the news, people talking about no money and this and that, the recession, I was like, so you're saying this whole time you guys have all had money? You've all been fine? I grew up in a recession my whole life.
Right. So you're like, wait a second. This is not what everybody
Yeah.
experiences. How come? How come no
So
one told me?
yeah, I
Oh,
was shocked. So it
wow.
was very normal. And so it was actually not debilitating for me to see struggle, to deal with change, to be
Yeah.
resilient. It was mandatory for survival. But then it
Wow.
comes to a point
Mercy.
where you'll literally self-sabotage if you don't grow out of that. Think
Right, because you
about
almost,
relationships, right?
yeah, you have to unlearn.
At some point, it's not normal to just break up, right? Because you want to work through things, or you
Yes.
want to grow, or you want to bring a different version of yourself.
Wow.
Like in
Yes.
any area of life, at some point, it no longer serves you.
Yes.
And for me, I had to say, okay, I cannot grow a business in survival mode.
Woo.
I cannot, give back to a foundation if I think this is it. This is the last dollar, or this is the last moment
Yes.
where I'm going to have time. Like
Wow. Yeah,
the
yeah, 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 yeah.
scarcity being normalized some very tough times for me. And I'm thankful that I had that mindset and that resilience. But it got to a point where I had to cut it away and say, I am also meant for more. I can also succeed with ease. God can also send
I love
things my
that.
way. Things can also work out for me.
Yes.
Bad things can happen without me even knowing, and God can block them away. Like amazing things can also
Yes.
happen. And so I say, if right now you're not okay, I would recommend to someone, embrace the journey. Like
Yeah.
when I go to the gym, nobody's gonna feel sad for me. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this because I might get sore.
Yes.
Like,
That's part of the process. Okay.
okay,
That's how you know
whatever.
it's working.
And so if you're in business, or you have a ministry, or you have to put yourself out there and go on dates,
Yeah.
maybe you're needing a relationship, whatever your scenario is, like, yeah,
Yes.
at some point you got to be okay with parts of the journey, but you don't have to be okay with it forever. We're not martyrs, we're
Yes.
not built to be in survival mode, but it
Yes.
is okay for you to know it's not just you. It
Mm-hmm.
happens to a lot of us, and
Yes.
we can also happen to situations. Like
Yeah.
we can also show up and show out.
Yes. Because you have a choice. You can decide how you're
Yes.
going to see that perspective. I love that. Thank you so much. I so appreciate those words, guys. You guys were getting free nuggets here. Pam said Ilean is a great coach. She absolutely is. So Ilean, tell us, where can people find you, and how could people connect with you if they wanted to get to know more about what you do and how you do it?
Absolutely. Well, you guys can reach out to me at Ilean Harris, whether it's Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, YouTube. You can look up my name. And if you speak Spanish, just add Espanol. So Ilean Harris Espanol, same thing. And, I'll be happy to connect or pray for anyone, because I just know what it's like to be at different levels, and the strength you need at different
Yes.
levels for different devils, And
Yes.
yeah, just know you're not in this alone. And right here, this program right here, this is such a great resource to hear all
Mm.
these stories, and to know
Yes.
that all you're doing right now is writing your chapter, right, of your
Yes.
story, and so are other
Yes.
people, and you're not in this alone. So
Yes.
you're definitely in the right place with the right lady boss,
Oh,
Leilani,
thanks,
and
girl.
in such good hands. And if I can help, just let me know.
Yes, Ilean Harris on all platforms, and you can find her there. Thank you so much, girl. I so appreciate you. I'm gonna send you backstage, and we'll chat right after. Thanks, Mama. Guys, I mean, listen. I am so inspired to dream and to jump off and just sit with myself and say, what have I not thought of already that is that God is already preparing for me. One of the things that I want to challenge you in light of her story is the idea that what you believe becomes reality. And so if you sit and stay stuck in the I can't do it, I don't have anything. When am I, I can't do this, I can't do that. How am I going to do this? Who is going to help me do this? Then you'll never move to the next stage. But instead, just like she mentioned, right? The idea of being able to say no, like, there is a space for me. There is something there better for me. I believe that there's more, that there's bigger. And so I'm just encouraging you to begin the process of shifting your mindset to believing that there's good, to sitting in the positive instead of the negative. And I want to invite you back for episode 4 next week. I'm going to be sitting with Annabelle Quintero. Guys, you don't want to miss it. Share it and let your friends know. Annabelle is an author of a book called Step, Step, Jump. And she is a survivor of 9/11. She was in one of the towers when the towers were hit. And she shares in her memoir the harrowing journey of escaping the building and what her life has become as a result. And so you don't want to miss next week. As always, I just want to let you know that you can support this platform, and to my community, you know what this is, but go ahead and share it. Share this episode with your family, with your friends. You can donate if you want to support financially to What's Your Story Live on Cash App. You can always subscribe to the YouTube channel to make sure you are staying up to date with all of the content. But most importantly, I want to remind you and encourage you to remember that purpose is found in your story. And so the question for you today is going to be, are you ready to share yours? See you next week.